Imagine a summer in a bustling European city, Buwan heavy with ancient burden. The year is 1518. The place is Strasbourg, a city then part of the Holy Roman Empire, now in modern day France. What unfolded there was not a war or a natural disaster in the usual sense. It was something far stranger, far more terrifying, and utterly inexplicable to those who lived through it. It was a plague, born out of the body in the way they understood. It was a plague of movement, a compulsion so powerful it drove people to dance without rest. Hundreds were afflicted, their body racked by an uncontrollable urge to move. Some danced until they collapsed, some until they died. Strasbourg in 1518 was a city already on edge. Famine had gripped the region, disease was a constant threat, and deep-seated religious anxiety permeated daily life. This bizarre event stands as one of history's most perplexing mysteries. It is a stark, unsettling reminder of the fragile link between mind and body, and the sometimes terrifying, power of social force. Could something like this happen today, under different forms? What does this say about the human mind? Please subscribe and help us bring more stories. Comment below and join us next time for more strange but true stories from the past. Let's continue this bizarre but true story. The strange affliction began quietly, with a single individual. Her name was Frau Troffea. One day in July 1518, she simply stepped into the narrow street outside the room and began to dance. It was not a joyful dance, nor one performed for entertainment. She danced alone, relentlessly, without music or apparent reason. She continued for hours, then days, seemingly unable to stop. Within a week, the solitary dancer was no longer alone. Others began to join her, drawn by an unseen force. The compulsion spread rapidly through the city's population. Within weeks, the number of afflicted individuals swelled dramatically, reaching over 400 people. Their movements were not coordinated or graceful. They were involuntary, convulsive, their body twisting and jerking in a horrifying spectacle. Witnesses described the dancer as being in a trance-like state. Their eyes were often fixed and vacant, their face contorted. Some foamed at the mouth, adding to the terrifying scene. The relentless motion took a brutal physical toll. Their feet became swollen and bloody from the continued pounding on the cobblestone street. Exhaustion, dehydration, and sheer physical breakdown became inevitable consequences. The city was gripped by panic. Authorities and citizens alike watched, and plain bewildered, unsure how to stop this terrifying, self-destructive phenomenon. Centuries later, historians, scientists, and psychologists still grapple with what truly happened in Strasbourg. Several theories have been proposed, each attempting to unlock the secret of the dancing plague. One prominent explanation points to mass psychogenic illness, some team called mass hysteria. This is a psychological phenomenon where symptoms, often physical, spread rapidly through a group of people. It is not caused by an organic disease but by psychological factors. Stress, fear, and anxiety can manifest physically and be transmitted through social contagion, especially in close-knit community. The condition in Strasbourg in 1518 fit this model chillingly well. The city was a crucible of stress, burdened by famine, rampant disease, and intense religious fervor and fear. This created fertile ground for a collective psychological breakdown to take hold and spread. Another theory, often cited, suggests ergot poisoning as a culprit. Ergot is a fungus that can grow on rye, a staple grain used for bread in the 16th century. Ingesting ergot can cause a condition known as ergotism. This condition can produce terrifying effects, including hallucinations similar to those caused by LSD, severe muscle spasm, and a burning sensation in the lung. These symptoms could potentially explain the involuntary movement and trance-like states. However, this theory has significant limitations. Ergot poisoning typically causes other severe symptoms, such as gangrene and lung necrosis, which were not widely reported among the dancing plague victims. Furthermore, it doesn't fully explain the selective nature of the affliction or the specific focus on dancing. While ergot may have played a role in some individual cases or exacerbated symptoms, it is unlikely to be the sole cause of the widespread, specific dancing compulsion. A third theory delve into the realm of religious belief and folklore. Saint Vitus was a saint associated with healing those afflicted by dancing mania, but also, in some belief, capable of inflicting them. There was a widespread belief in the power of saints to curse or bless. It is possible that the afflicted believed they were cursed by Saint Vitus, or that dancing was a way to appease him. The city's initial response, which involved encouraging the dancing, may have inadvertently reinforced this belief and fueled the outbreak further. The cultural context and existing superstition surrounding Saint Vitus could have provided a framework through which the psychological distress manifested a uncontrollable dancing. Faced with this unprecedented crisis, the city authorities were initially bewildered. Their first attempt to control the situation were tragically misguided. Believing the dancers were suffering from a hot blood ailment that needed to be danced out, the city council decided to facilitate the dancing. They provided musicians to play music and even built wooden stage in the market square. Their intention was to allow the afflicted to dance themselves to recovery. However, this public display and official sanction had the opposite effect. It legitimized the behavior and provided a focal point, likely accelerating the spread of the psychogenic in through suggestion and imitation. The number of dancers continued to grow. Realizing their error, the authorities changed tactic. They turned to the church for intervention, seeking spiritual rather than physical remedy. The city council ordered the stage dismantled and banned public dancing. They then mandated that the afflicted be taken on pilgrimage. These pilgrimages were specifically directed to the shrine of Saint Vitus in Saverne, a nearby town. The hope was that the saint who could curse with dancing could also cure it. Rituals were performed at the shrine, including special mass and blessing. The afflicted were given small cross and red shoes, symbol associated with the saint and the affliction, which they wore during the pilgrimage. Slowly, mysteriously, the plague began to subside. As the summer wore on and the afflicted were removed from the city's street and subjected to religious rite, the compulsion faded. By September, the dancing had stopped. The city was left to pick up the pace and ponder the terrifying events of the summer. Just as it began without clear warning, the dancing plague of 1518 ended, leaving behind a city scarred and a mystery unsolved. The exact cause remains a subject of intense debate among experts. Was it a collective delusion born of extreme stress? Was it poisoning, perhaps combined with psychological factors? Or was it a complex interplay of belief, environment, and physical hardship? The dancing plague served as a stark and unsettling reminder of the power of the human mind, the fragility of social order, and the terrifying potential of fear and belief to manifest physically on a mass scale. It highlights the complex interplay between psychological states, environmental pressure, and cultural context. Century later, the dancing plague of 1518 continued to fascinate and challenge US historians seek to understand the social context, psychologists analyze the potential for mass hysteria, and scientists look for possible biological triggers. While the specific circumstance of 1518 may seem distant, the underlying question it raises about the power of suggestion, the impact of stress on community, and the mysterious connection between mind and body remain relevant. It prompts to consider how similar, perhaps less dramatic, form of social contagion and stress-induced phenomena might still occur in our world today. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe and support our channel. See you in the next adventure.